Hey everybody, and welcome to Bunches of Lunches Christmas Edition. From gingerbread and Grinches to snowmen and snow globes, this week I made each of my kiddos their own special Christmas-themed lunch. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I put them together. All of these lunches are fun and festive, but still easy to make. So come join me in the kitchen and let the lunches begin. Okay guys, I'm kicking things off with a lunch for my oldest daughter Mackenzie, and for her, I'm going with a gingerbread theme. And that's because in our house, we love all things gingerbread. Starting with Mackenzie's main course, I'm going to put together a snowman. For this, I'm going to need 2 hard-boiled eggs, and I'm going to trim off just a bit of each one. Now to stick these together, I'm going to use some pretzel sticks. You could also use toothpicks to do this. So now once the eggs are together, it's time to move on to the hat. For this, I'm just using a strawberry that I've cut the top off of. Oh yes, and I'm using a pretzel to stick this on as well. Next, for the band of the hat, I'm just using a very small slice of string cheese. And then for the snowman's scarf, I'm using a thin slice of cucumber. And to get both the cheese and the cucumber to stick, I did use just a bit of cream cheese for the glue. Now once I have this in Mackenzie's lunchbox, I can go ahead and add in the buttons and the eyes. And for this, I'm just using my food writer pens. And then lastly, for the snowman's nose, I'm just gonna stick in a tiny piece of carrot. How cute is this little snowman? Next for Mackenzie's lunch, I'm moving on to some veggies. I'm adding lots of cucumber in here, as well as some carrot stuffed cucumbers. And yes, the carrot is actually gingerbread man shaped. Oh yes, and to go with the veggies, I'm adding some ranch on the side. Now to go along with this, I'm also going to be adding some cheese and crackers, and that's because I found these adorable holiday Ritz crackers at Walmart. This comes with a Santa shape, a bell shape, a Christmas tree, and a snowman. And then for the cheese, I'm just cutting those into star shapes, and this is actually pepper jack cheese, so it's a little bit spicy. And then you guys, I'm putting together a gingerbread house sandwich, but for the filling, I'm gonna use Biscoff cookie butter. And to add all the decorations to the top, I'm just using my food writer pens. And then you guys, I have a very special drink I'm surprising Mackenzie with. I was able to find these adorable gingerbread drink bottles on Amazon. Now I've seen these at boba shops in the past. So with that in mind, I'm gonna fill Mackenzie's with some chai tea concentrate and a little bit of oat milk to make this into a creamy but spicy latte. So next, I'm putting together a lunch for my youngest, Griffin. And for him, I'm going with a Grinch theme. So yes, that means a lot of green food. I'm putting together some Grinch-inspired fluffy popcorn. Now, if you haven't heard of the fluffy popcorn craze, it's kind of like you're making Rice Krispie treats, but instead of cereal, you're using popcorn. For this recipe, I am using 8 cups of popcorn. Now, you could make this yourself, but I took some help from the store. And at this point, I just want to look over the popcorn very carefully to make sure there aren't any unpopped kernels in the mix, because I do not want to be biting into that. So this popcorn is looking pretty good, so I'm going to set it aside and grab my microwave safe bowl. To this, I'm adding 3 cups of mini marshmallows, followed by a 1/4 cup of butter. You could use unsalted or salted, that part's up to you. Now I'm going to pop this in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time, stirring in between each time until everything is melted and smooth. Now all I have to do is pour this all over the popcorn and give it all a good mix. Next, I'm going to dump this onto my baking sheet. I'll go ahead and spread it out. And then to finish this off, I'm going to sprinkle on 1 cup of mini marshmallows. And lastly, I'm adding several handfuls of red M&Ms. You can add as many as you want. You really have to measure with your heart. Now I'm going to set this in the fridge to harden up, and while that's happening, I can move on to the main course. And for this, I'm making some protein mac and cheese, but with a Grinchy twist. To top this mac and cheese, I'm going to cut a heart out of a red bell pepper, and I'm just going to place it on top. And no, this heart is not 2 sizes too small. It's pretty big. Next, for Griffin's fruit, I'm using some grapes, some bananas, some strawberries, marshmallows, and toothpicks to put together some Grinch kebabs. These always turn out so cute, but these ones are kind of big. Next, on the side, I'm also going to add some slightly salted and steamed edamame. My kids love this stuff, and it is bright green, so perfect for this lunch. And I'm also going to throw in an apple cinnamon fig bar. Now that our Grinch popcorn is ready, I can go ahead and add in that as well. And then finally, keeping with our Grinch themed lunch, I'm going to make up some sour apple punch. Now that brings me to a lunch for Jackson, and for his main course he requested pancakes, but with his favorite homemade old-fashioned buttermilk syrup. So stay tuned, I'll show you exactly how I make it. But for the waffles themselves, I'm just starting with some Kodiak cake protein mix. I'm going to keep some of this plain, but then I'm also going to turn some of it green. And that's because I'm going to cook this in my mini dash with the Christmas tree shape. Now I'm going to go ahead and load up as many of these as I can fit, and the idea is to make this look like a snow globe. So for the base, I'm just adding some carrot. Around the tree, I'm adding lots of snowflake sprinkles. And I'm adding a little star made of cheese right on top. And then of course to go with this, I have that homemade buttermilk syrup. Here's how I made it. Just adding 3/4 cup buttermilk, butter, and sugar. I mixed that all together and brought it to a boil. Then I just let it boil for 1 minute, stirring constantly. After that, I turned off the heat and I added some baking soda and vanilla. And yes, this does bubble up a bit. Now I will link to this recipe down below if you want to give this a try. It is a little bit sweet, it's a little bit tangy. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below if you've ever tried a syrup quite like this. And I did make sure to let this cool down completely before I added it into Jackson's container. Now moving on to fruit and veggies. First I'm adding some kiwi. Next, some snowflake shaped bell peppers. And right in the center, some cherry tomatoes. Now I do want to add more protein to this lunch. So on the side, I'm adding some pepperoni and some ham. And then I have just enough space for some mozzarella cheese. For a salty snack on the side, I was able to find these special snowflake Cheetos. And then for the sweet treat, I made some coconut crunch cups. Let me show you how I made them. To my bowl, I added 1.5 cups of white chocolate chips. And then to this, I added just 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. Now I popped this in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time, stirring in between until it was melted and smooth. Next, I added 1/2 cup of coconut and 1/2 cup of Rice Krispie cereal. Now this is another one of those Christmas time old-fashioned candies that are really easy to make, but they are on the sweeter side. So I like to actually scoop these into mini muffin cups, so you're just getting a tiny bit. If you love white chocolate and coconut together, then you would love these too. Now the Christmas sprinkles are optional, but what's not optional is at least 30 minutes in the fridge to set up. For Jackson's lunch, I'm just going to throw in 2 of these coconut crunch cups, and then I'll finish off this lunch with some snowman milk. Okay friends, now on to the fastest lunch to make, and this one's for my daughter Lily. For Lily's main course, I'm making some pepperoni pinwheels. For this, I'm using a green tortilla, and then I'm gonna go ahead and spread on plenty of cream cheese mixed with ranch seasoning. Next, I'm adding a very full layer of turkey pepperoni. And then all I'm gonna do is roll this up as tightly as I can, then slice it up. Now the idea is to place these in the box in a Christmas tree shape. And then just for fun, I'm gonna add some extra cheese for the Christmas tree decorations. Next, for Lily's fruit, I'm gonna be adding some apples. I'm gonna start by cutting this small enough to fit in the box. Next, I'll slice them and peel off the skin of just a few to create a striped pattern. And then for her veggie, she asked for cucumber. And again, I'm just gonna remove half of the skin, slice it up, and this creates a really cool checkerboard pattern. Now I know this looks a little extra, but trust me, I used to work at an edible arrangements, so doing all this cutting to fruits and veggies is normal to me. Now I do have some grapes I need to use up, so I'm gonna throw in some of those too. And then for a snack on the side, I'm going to add in some of these limited edition Christmas goldfish crackers. These have a Christmas tree shape and a stocking shape. And then right next to that, I have a very interesting salty sweet treat that we're trying for the first time. I've been seeing so many no-bake recipes using Bugles chips. It just calls for half a cup of smooth peanut butter and half a cup of powdered sugar. You're gonna mix those all together until nice and smooth. And friends, this filling tastes almost identical to Reese's peanut butter cups, so if you're a fan of that, you'd probably love these too. Then I very carefully piped this peanut butter filling into each little bugle. Oh yes, and I was careful not to overfill them. You don't want it like spilling out or anything. Next, you're gonna wanna dip these in some chocolate. Now you could coat the entire thing with chocolate, but I just decided to do the ends. And then while the chocolate was still wet, I just added lots of Christmas sprinkles. After about 10 minutes in the fridge, they're hardened up and ready to serve. Now I do have to say that this one was a little bit saltier than sweet, but they were fun to try and easy to make. And then last but not least for Lily's drink, just a small little cutesy strawberry milk. Now, don't forget to vote down below in the comments which lunch did you like the best. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.